on the other hand, were on a kind of collision course because the increasing weight of human activity on nature was leading to environmental risks of a magnitude and a scale that were unprecedented. 1972 was also the year in which a very important book was published, Limits to Growth, which was the first computer model of wide note that explained that if we were to simply continue to have economic growth with the then existing technologies, the scale of the global economy after a few decades of constant geometric growth would be so large that the burdens on the physical Earth systems would become overwhelming. So Limits to Growth and the Conference on the Human Environment, way back in 1972, put us on the course towards the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, 15 years later, a very important commission was established under the leadership of Dr. Gro Harlem Brundtland, then the Prime Minister of Norway. And the Bruntland Commission established the idea of sustainable development itself. And that was a tremendous breakthrough. The Bruntland Commission defined sustainable development in this way. It said sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the current generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Masterclass section. And my name is Chinenwanolue. I'm excited to be your moderator for today's Masterclass section. So if you can hear me, I know you're live on YouTube. So please, can you send in your reactions, your name, where you're joining from, and what you intend to learn for today's section? Okay, so we'll get started now. I want you to meet our facilitator, Deborah E. Edward. She's a seasoned communication and event management professional who has cultivated a career dedicated to crafting, comparing narrative, and orchestrating impactful events across the field of education, media, technology, and circular economy. She's currently immersed in the heart of circular economy movements. Deborah plays a pivotal role in promoting sustainable practices, advocating for resource efficiency, and fostering innovation. So as a communication moving, Deborah excels at translating complex concepts into accessible, engaging story that resonates with diverse audience and inspire action through effective content creation. Okay, please, can you join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Deborah E. Edward. Ma, please, the floor is all yours, ma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chineye. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
How are you doing today? Hope your day has been going well.
You're fine, ma.
Good morning.
Okay.
Yes, ma.
Good morning. Okay. So I was trying so hard to connect to the YouTube audience so that I could see their responses. I don't know why I can't seem to do that. So I will be needing your assistance because I have an activity at some point in the session where I do need to know what their responses are like. Yeah, but then okay. I've seen the link. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Where I do need, okay. Yeah, but then okay. Okay, so I can see the responses now. I was just getting that set up. Hello. It's nice to see all of you. Hello, Faith. Oh, there's so many Faiths in the chat box. Hello, Mercy. Hello, Moses. Let me see if I can see. Hello, Yusuf. Hello, Lukman. It's very, very nice to have you all with us. So I'm going to go on and share my screen now. And today we're going to be talking about circular economy and sustainable waste management. And I want to believe that this is a topic that a lot of you are actually very familiar with. So it's not something new. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry. We're hoping that before the end of the session today, it will be something that is like easy, top of mind for you. Okay. So let me just share my screen. All right. Okay, so today we're talking about circular economy and sustainable waste management. If you have heard of circular economy before, just write, one sentence. What does circular economy mean to you, right? If you've heard about it before, just write that in the chat. Let's have some engagement. And then while I wait for your responses, I'll just go into what circular economy is. Now, for us to better understand what circular economy is, it's important for us to understand what the linear economy is. Linear economy is an economic system, which is what we have a lot of presently now, where you are constantly taking things from nature, you are making things out of them, and at the end of the day, you proceed to dispose of it, right? That is what linear economy is. You take things, if you look at everything around you now, there's a process to which it was created. There were resources that were extracted from nature at some point in time. There was a production process that it went through. There was distribution that happened. So after the production process where you make the item, there's a distribution, the logistics, the retailer, the wholesaler, retailer, and then it finally gets into your hands. Then you become the consumer, you consume that item. And then when you are done with it, you would typically dispose of it. That is how things operate in the linear economy. But then it raised a very, very big problem, or raised a very, very pressing issue of concern. The resources that we have on Earth, even though a lot of times we want to think that it is infinite, it really isn't as infinite as you think. I know that at some point in time, we've heard talks around, oh, is crude oil going to be out soon? What happens when that is out? That is an energy source, right? But then even the raw materials that we use, if nobody goes further to plant trees, if nobody goes further to probably keep the lands fallow, make sure that, okay, not every time you're always planting, you are rotating, you are doing this crop rotation thing, the nutrients in the soil will be completely extracted, and then you can't really do what you want to do with that. It's the same thing for resources. If there is no plan in place to ensure that, oh, we're not just consuming, what happens at the end of the day is that we will find ourselves without resources. Now, it might not affect you, it might not affect me in this particular generation, looking at our lifespan, but what about those that are coming after us? right? Because it's very easy to play that blame game where it's like, okay, since it's not going to affect me, it's not an issue that is pressing to me now, let me not bother about it. But what happens to those that are coming afterwards, right? And that is a very, very big issue. But then we have the circular economy. And to explain the circular economy, I feel like I've used this so many times. Don't worry, I'm going to change it at some point. But I like to use it to illustrate a lot about what has happened today. When you look at how things are produced, back in the 1950s or thereabout, you would typically have in a kitchen a stove and an oven. So doing like different functions. Stove, you use it to cook, oven, you use it to bake, right? And you're done. But nowadays, in fact, I know we are very familiar. You have air fryer, you have microwave, you have your gas cooker, you have the camp gas. I'm sure many of us in our houses, we have camp gas as backup. We have the gas cooker the double broiler. You have the one that has the oven inside. Some of you even have local ovens, maybe because you bake cake or you have like all those type of things. Some people still have the firewood burners. Some people still have the firewood burner. Some people have charcoal burners, which is understandable because, you know, living in society as we have lived in today, it has made us become very, very careful. So a lot of times we find ourselves that we are getting things, purchasing things just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that we're probably not inconvenienced at any point in time. However, that is also raising so many issues to the environment. That's on the side of the consumers. What about the producers themselves? Why are they constantly looking for how they can generate profits by making new things? And I'm sure that you have experienced at some time or the other that something you would buy, if it gets to 1 year, it's fine, right? They've given you 1 year warranty already, that is probably how long. If anything gets bad, they change it at that point in time. But most items have probably 3 years lifespan, not up to 10 years, which would have been perfect in an ideal world. Same thing here with equipment still in the kitchen. You have your pan, you have your spoon, you have your knife. And now you have so many things. There is cast iron juicer, there is electric juicer, there is rice cooker, there is pressure cooker. The knives that you have, you can have at least 5 different types of knife. For those of us that don't have, I know somewhere at the back of your mind, one day, if you have the opportunity, you would love to have like a full standard kitchen, right? For those who are interested in cooking and all that, or have people that have that. But then again, it raises a pressing concern. It raises a pressing issue. Is this really the right way to go? Where are these materials gotten from, right? And if you look at electronics contain plastic components. They contain some metal components. They contain some minerals too that probably have been converted so that they can be used that way. So there are so many things that are put together to make the one item that you have in your table, say for instance, a smartphone in your hand that you are using. There are plastics, there are metals within that same, you know, device. There's still the software as well. There is so much that went into that. But what is the thought behind if these things cease to exist, what happens next? So circular economy is sort of like a panacea. It's an economic model that focuses on how can we minimize waste? How can we reduce waste to the barest minimum? And how can we maximize resource efficiency? How can we use what we have very efficiently? Meaning when we are using things, we're not wasting energy. You know, we're not wasting the raw materials themselves. If we're going to be talking about transporting things from one place to another, you're not consuming so much fuel, you know, to actually do that. If at all you're going to be using maybe fuel, is there an alternative source of energy that can be used? Circular economy focuses on this particular design where waste is minimized. If possible, waste is at a 0 point. And then how can resources be maximized efficiently? And for circular economy, there are often 2 sides, which is why we say oftentimes that we as human beings do have a lot to learn or can't stand a lot, you know, learning from nature. There's the biological side and then there's the technical side. On the biological side, you know how nature is. Nature is quite regenerative. it always has a way of renewing itself. It's just that when human beings step into the picture, it's either we are helping or we are disrupting some of the systems that are there already. So for this one, in the biological side, it says, okay, even if we are taking things from nature, so you're taking wood from nature, you're taking food from nature, there are still processes that are there, that nature can regenerate itself. And furthermore, apart from it regenerating itself, the waste that you consume, the natural waste that you consume, is either it can be turned into compost, which is what happens with food waste. You can turn those things into compost and be used as fertilizer for growing other crops. Or for the waste that you don't want to, turn into compost, there are systems where you can have biogas through anaerobic digestions. And there are companies today that are actually doing that are designing biodigesters. One of that company is Biofuel Technology. They have a biodigester where whatever food waste you have, organic waste you have, you can fill it into that and you can use the gas that is converted out of it for cooking, right? And they have this in a large scale. There are some companies that have in smaller scales from different price ranges, as little as I think 50 to 70,000 thereabout, where you can actually utilize this gas using the waste that you generate at home. So on the biological side, what you see is a constant regeneration. I don't know. I think one other example that I like to give is a farm that is almost fully circular, where for the farm, when they rear catfish and then they rear the chicken alongside, the chicken they place at a point where the droppings from the chicken can actually be the food that the catfish eats, because they actually can't use that as well. So there can be systems where you have like a continuous loop, and that is what we as individuals should be looking out for. We as advocates should be advocating for. So it doesn't matter if you are not the one producing. As a consumer, you have a responsibility for everything that you purchase to ask that question. Is this, number one, is this circular? Right? Did the person that put this together look for all the possible ways to minimize waste? Was it produced effectively? The resources that were utilized, was it produced effectively? And yes, it's not an easy now you've gotten it, because a lot of times you may be faced with a question of, in fact, most of our purchasing decision, maybe you put this in the chat box as well. How do you decide what you want to purchase? Be honest with everybody here. Do you decide based on the quality, or do you decide based on affordability, or do you look at both? And if you decide based on sustainability, you can also maybe drop that as well, that you decide based on sustainability as well. But I'm not sure many people do that. And it's quite important. A lot of times we focus on how affordable is it? If it's affordable, then I will buy it, then I will stock up on it. But in that affordability, is it really sustainable, right? Is it really helping, or is it harming at the other end? Then we have the technological side or technical side. On the technical side, here, the resources are not necessarily renewable, right? So you have to set up, you have to look at it and say, okay, what are the systems that are in place that can help me not to waste these items, right? So if things go from the manufacturer or from the parts that are being manufactured to the that are put together, oftentimes we look at this and call, you can have something called sharing. So when something of the user, it can be shared as a way to ensure that you are not wasteful, and that you, as much as possible, using the resource to its highest potential, or maximizing resource efficiency. One of the examples I like to use for this one is the renting of canopies and chairs when there are events that are happening. That is a model where it tries as much as possible to be sustainable, because instead of somebody just Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Go
sorry,
on.
the network kicked me out. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We can.
Okay, so I was saying that there are different secular business models be used, and I was giving the example of the canopies and the chairs. That ideally, if you think about it, if every single family or if every single house or if every single person owned a canopy, I don't know what's wrong with the network. So sorry about that. I will try and switch to something else. Okay. Yeah. So I was saying about the canopies and chairs that imagine if every single individual did have a canopy and it like 24, that's 24 chairs in their home. Would that make any sense? Right? It wouldn't make a lot of sense. Or imagine if every single family had like a tractor or a bulldozer, and whenever there was an issue or they needed to grade the road, I'm even trying to imagine how that setup would look like. Which is where you now have a business model that says that, okay, rather than everybody owning a particular item, why not create a model where a company or individual or a business owns some items and then has a system where people can come and rent those items or lease those items to use for a particular period of time. And then afterwards, they can return it and it can be used over and over and over again like that. And typically, it is the company or the owner who bears the cost of maintenance for that particular item, right? That's a very, very interesting secular business model that actually exists. So when people try to say things like, the secular economy, it did not exist in Africa before, you just look at them and you smile. A lot of things that we do practice are actually inherently secular in nature. So what we need to do is make sure that we gauge the actions that we're taking. So this particular action, is it sustainable? If it is, keep it. If it's not, look for a way that you can replace that particular thing. We have reuse and redistribute. It's also a system. Instead of always throwing materials after one use, which is what you see in fast fashion. So in fast fashion, clothes are being produced almost at the speed of a snap of a finger, and then people wear them. And because they are not durably created, so they are not designed for durability, what happens is those items become torn. I'm sure at some point we have experienced it one time or the other where you wear a particular item and it's like the seam just gets loosed almost immediately. Secular economy preaches that you design for sustainability, you design for longevity, you design things that are resistant to wear and tear. And what now happens is you can constantly reuse that. It's a business model. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about renting wedding gowns or even converting the wedding gowns to something else, which brings us to refurbishing or remanufacturing. In secular economy, there are setup where you can refurbish items. So instead of just throwing away things, how can the parts that are not good anymore be replaced with parts that are standard or working? How can they be remanufactured, maybe converted into another items? And then at the far end, we now have recycle. Recycle is, a lot of people say recycle as, the primary thing. But I want you to go away with the knowledge that it's not supposed to be the first thing on your mind. Rather, it's supposed to be at the farthest end, right? Only after you have probably thought about the sharing, thought about reusing, thought about redistributing, refurbishing, remanufacturing, should you then think about recycling. So there's a video I was going to play, but because of time, we're going to move forward. Now, when you think about circular economy, you think about three things. You think about the environment, you think about the economy, and you think about the social factor, because circular economy does have benefits across all three parts. And we'll talk about the benefits of circular economy in a bit. But before that, I've mentioned some of the key principles along the way. And one of them is what? Design for longevity and durability. I mentioned already that in circular economy, things should be thought as how can they last longer? How can they be resistant to wear and tear? Rather than how can we get instant gratification, instant products, things that we can use now, we just throw away. Which is why you'll find that a lot of countries, even in Lagos, Nigeria, you have seen a couple of them where they started saying things like, oh, let's ban single-use items. Why? Because the single-use items are the ones that often generate a lot of waste. That doesn't mean that long-term items don't have their part to play. They do, if you don't design them with a mind of what will happen at the end of life. So it means that for everything that is being designed, you need to think about what is going to happen at the end of its life. For everything you consume, what is going to happen at the end of its life? Even if it's a book that you are purchasing, what happens at the end of life of that particular item? Right? Circular economy urges us to design for longevity and durability as one of its principles. Resource efficiency. Always think, and I think I've echoed this a lot, how can you optimize the use of materials, energy, water throughout the process of producing and even till it gets to the final consumer, making sure that you are minimizing waste and the environmental impact. Then circular business model, which is what I talked about when I talked about the technical life flow, where you look at the different business model that can come up, encourage sharing, encourage leasing, encourage remanufacturing. Don't just think about how can I make money by always producing so that people are always buying from me, right? Instead, how can I set up systems in place that even after I've produced, there is a way for me to keep on generating resources or money out of it. I think one very, very interesting example is actually product as a service, or as they call it in a lot of sectors, in tech sectors, software as a service. For instance, all of us have, at some point, we use Gmail, right? And there's a paid version and there's a free version. Have you ever thought about it? What would it look like if we had the whole infrastructure that it takes to operate our Gmail account in our house? So I know some people will think it's just about your phone, but no, there's a whole infrastructure. There are supercomputers that are probably working overtime behind the scenes somewhere. The cloud storage we're loving as cloud storage, there's probably a place where all those data is actually being housed so that you can access it as cloud storage. But imagine if all of us had something like that in our homes and we were the ones managing it. It won't really make much sense, right? So what they've done is they've set up a system where they take care of all that, the maintenance and everything, and then we pay a subscription to access those services, right? It doesn't only work for software. There are products that can be designed for that. I don't know if we have people who are fashion designers or hairdressers in the room, or just people who love fashion. Is there a way you could create product as a service where maybe you buy clothes and you've gauged it and see, oh, you buy clothes maybe every month, you're probably buying new clothes. But then anytime you have an event, you are looking for another cloth that is more functional or stylish to wear. Is there a system you can have with your fashion designer? And I'm just throwing these ideas out there to say that, oh, Ma, for so amount of money, I will give you this constant rate. And then I am expecting this amount of clothes or this particular style of clothes, but I'm doing it as a subscription rate. It probably requires a lot of thought, right? Or for those who make hair, can you do a subscription for your customers where they probably come in, they pay a fixed rate, and then they choose styles that range around that that price point. And, it's not every month they are using the attachments and they're wasting the attachments, or they're fixing the crochets and all those type of things. It was just an idea I thought about, not fully developed. But what if that was possible? Circular economy asks everybody to push beyond the boundaries of what you think is possible in a positive way, right? Push. In fact, think that there is no box. What is possible if you just step outside of the conventional, let us just take things, make things, and waste them? Okay, waste reduction, said this a lot. Regenerate nature. We have a lot that we can learn from nature. We have a lot that we can learn from natural processes, and it's important that we support those processes. Then most importantly, consumer awareness and engagement. That is one of the key principles of circular economy. If you're not here now, you'll probably find out about circular economy at some point or the other. But now that you know, still as a principle, teach it to someone else, right? Talk about it in your office. Let somebody else know. How can they practice circular economy principles? What are some of the things that they can do, even if they're not producers? As consumers, can they opt to bulk buy instead of buying single products? If they feel like, if they bulk buy, they will consume a lot more. Is there a way that they can measure those items in such a way sustainable for them? Also think about it. Are some of the challenges we face, are they really a discipline problem? Not necessarily a material problem. Because sometimes when you look at things, there are things that we are going through that are not, the thing you're going through is not the root cause. There is a root cause under. So it's always important to ask why, until you get to the point where there is no other answer for that why. The benefits of circular economy. So I mentioned earlier that when you think about circular economy, think about 3 areas: environment, social, and economic. For the environment, how does circular economy benefit the environment? Enhancing energy efficiency. Because you are using circular economy, because you are not just going through the extraction process, because you are reusing what is already in circulation, you are using less energy. And as a result of using less energy, you are reducing the greenhouse carbon emission. Right? One thing is leading to another. And as they say, it's circular. There's a ripple effect of the actions that you are taking. Because you are reducing greenhouse gas emission, and at the same time, you are not going to extract every time. You are minimizing the amount of resources that is being depleted. So at some point in time in future, we'll be able to see, yes, we still have this mineral. Not that, this mineral has been exhausted. Not that we'll get to a point and we'll be like, there's no more gold. Or, there's no more zinc anymore. Or, there's no more lithium. I don't know I was going to say lithium battery, but I can't remember. I don't know. I don't know what this is, but I've thought about it before. What if the thing that we use to power our phones at some point get exhausted? Is there a way that we can be sustainable with the batteries that we use to power our devices, since almost everything is powered by something? Yeah. Economic benefits. As I said, circular economy encourages you to push beyond the boundaries of what you know. What are the business opportunities that can come out of it? Circular economy does encourage new business opportunities. It encourages new ways of thinking. It encourages you to integrate different processes into your business that allows you to earn more, right? And in the process of earning more, you can also increase innovation and reduce cost. Earlier, I said something, and I'm sure people have responded in the chat box. Sorry that I'm not able to go back just yet. I asked you, why do you purchase, or how do you make a decision on what to purchase? I'm sure a couple of people have written something around. I purchase based on maybe what I need. But I was like, also think about it. Is it because of cost, affordability, quality? What are the factors that make you, decide how you want to buy something or choose something? Now, one of the things we found, and I will give a few examples of businesses in circular economy that exist in today, is that oftentimes people resist buying them because they feel that they are very expensive. So, for instance, maybe you want to buy a solar panel. Let me use a solar panel, for instance. And I know that you can get some solar panel systems or some solar systems for as little as 100,000. You probably see for less than that, maybe 80. I don't know if you see for 50, maybe it's just torchlight or one bulb or something. But you can see as cheap as it gets. And then you now have somebody who is coming to you and saying that, oh, this particular solar system is made from recycled batteries, 90% sustainable, 90% recycled materials, sustainably sourced. And the person is telling you that that particular item, you can get it for maybe 150. And they will still handle maintenance and do a lot of things for you. But because you are hearing the initial price of 150, and somewhere in your mind that there's one market you go to and you get it for like 80K, will you choose a sustainable product at that point in time? I don't know. The same thing with jewelries or even hand-woven materials. So the earrings I'm wearing today, they're made from coconut shells, right? And they're hand-woven by some women under a company, Mitiment. So Mitiment, what they do is they take water hyacinths. Water hyacinth is a weed. It often affects the water bodies very, very well. Like it is a weed is a weed, is a pest somehow. And what they do is they take all this water hyacinths, they dry it, and then they weave it together and begin to make other beautiful materials out of it. So you can have flower vases, you can have interior products, coasters for glass cups, even cane chairs, earrings, jewelries, hand fans, etc. Now you see that particular thing and they tell you, oh, this earring is like 5K. I can't remember how much I got it anymore, but this earring is like 5K. And you know that you can find earring 500 naira somewhere. Would you go for sustainable? However, the reason why most of those things cost that much is because they are hand-woven. They are sustainably sourced. Also because the demand is not so much for them. What happens in circular economy is the more we purchase circular products, the more we create awareness that, okay, these products are sustainable, these products are sustainably sourced, there is a plan for the end of life of these products. The more people know about it, the more they can begin to purchase. What happens over time is the cost of production lessens. But if you don't give it a chance, it will not get to that point. Even the materials that we like now and call single use, the reason why they are cheaper, more sustainable is because over time, investment has been poured into that sector. Over time, there have been grants, there has been funding that has been poured into that sector. There is a very huge demand for those materials. So they can be given to you at a very low cost. But then, circular economy does encourage innovation, and over time, it reduces cost because it eliminates that need to go and extract raw materials. So if we're using things that are constantly in circulation, if we're using things that can be sourced around, if the processes become simpler and easily applicable, over time, the cost will be reduced. So that's something to also think about when it comes to circular economy. Then we have the social benefits. Social benefits, good health. Good health. For those of us that live in Lagos that are constantly harassed by the pollution on the road and all the allergies that come with it, good health is important. Because circular economy doesn't only focus on just products and the products, how they come in, but thinks about how do you reduce waste entirely. Even the waste from fuel, like instead of burning fuel constantly, how do you ensure that, okay, there's no waste from that? How do you reduce your carbon footprint? How do you ensure that, okay, if possible, everybody doesn't need to go to work every day. We can do remote work. I know it's very, very, how do I put it? Yes, remote work has come to stay and it doesn't look like it's secular. Some ways it's secular. How can we ensure that maybe people are living in close proximity to where they work, so that they don't have to go through the flying bikes and doing cars and driving long distances? And yes, the price of fuel, again, I feel one of the things that affects Nigerians is we often put things a lot on price than other things. The price of fuel now has made people to stop driving cars and choose public transport. But using public transport or using pooled vehicles, meaning it doesn't have to be public, it just has to be not just one person in a car, but it's a pooled system of driving. It's actually a way that we help the environment, right? It doesn't always have to be because of the price. So for circular economy, when it comes to social benefits, improved community well-being, because you are reducing the whole pollution process that comes from extraction, because you are thinking more about how can we protect ecosystem. When you think about climate change, when you think about climate action, some of the actions you'll be taking about how can we protect nature, how can we plant trees, all those things still connect to the circular economy, right? All those things still connect to circular economy and actually living a life that is, long-term, is sustainable. Long-term, there are no repercussions at the end of the day. And then job creation. Job creation. There are so many job opportunities that come out of circular economy. Some of them are new jobs that might exist. I know for a while, having technical skills wasn't really as praised as it should be, because people that can repair stuff, they're actually saving a lot of lives. I just use that, if people can repair things easily, or repair specialists, and it's actually very, very, it's accorded with the recognition that it deserves, that's an opportunity. There are people who are now sustainability specialists. They help you calculate things in your business, help show you how you can be sustainable. There are pop-up shops that are, starting to be created at different points in times, often tied to a manufacturing company. There is the one you might know, plastic recycling, that has come to stay, having hubs and collectors and people who gather these plastics and use it for other things. There are endless amounts of jobs that can be created, that are being created from circular economy. Okay, so we are going to play one game, I think 2 games. But before we do that, I want to talk about waste management, because I see that I'm almost out of time. I want to talk about waste management and how it connects to circular economy. I have spoken, lengthily about the fact that circular economy is about designing out waste. It's about being sustainable. It's about resource efficiency. But at the same time, we can't deny the fact that we are already generating waste in a large amount. We are already generating a huge amount of waste. So how do we sustainably manage waste? How do we make sure that even this waste that we're generating, there is a setup, there is a system in place that helps us to manage it effectively? The first one is prevention, which is reduce as much as possible. If you don't need it, don't buy it. If you're not going to use it, don't collect it. If you're going to use it only once, rethink it, right? That is a waste management strategy. Reduce, prevent. It has gotten to the point where I see now where a lot of organizations, when they're trying to give out gifts, they are thinking, how would the people who are giving these gifts to really, really use them? Is this something they would like to use? Apart from that, can they use it for a very long time? That is something that you should think about, not just for gifts, but for regular things, regular items, including thinking, is the nylon too much? I know a lot of shops now are of the opinion they don't give you nylons, you pay for the nylons as well. You can actually just carry your own bag to the place, except you know that, okay, you're going to use the nylon for something else or something like that, which I know a lot of us eventually do. But that's not the point. The point is, whatever it is that you're doing, when you think about waste management, first of all, how can you reduce waste? Number 2, how can you reuse? Said that already today. How can you reuse? Instead of throwing it away, can it be reused for something else? In reuse, you have the refurbishing, the repairing, the cleaning, putting it together to ensure that you are extending the lifespan, maintaining it as much as possible. Then you have recycling. Recycling, how can you process raw materials or waste as raw materials, where somebody's waste item, instead of it to be thought of as waste, it is an input to create something else. It can be paper, it can be plastic, it can be glass, it can be metal. And I think one of the oldest examples, I want to assume that everybody here at some point did something like paper mache, where you had to take old newspapers and then starch and put it together and craft bowls or even a cup, or just take something and craft a shape out of it. That item can actually be used as a storage bin. And the most interesting thing is, I know that a lot of times we even limit ourselves to thinking, oh, it's just after everything, we throw it away. But there are people that can use that as containers. That is even one of the steps to creating other things, because it teaches you how to cast how do I put it, a pre-structure to what you want to create. So you could actually put beads around it. You could actually beautify it in some way, even with fabrics. There are so many things you can do with that actual item. The point here is there a way for it to be recycled? Can it be used as a material to make other materials? One very interesting example of recycling is textile recycling. There's a company today, Thread, I think Martin Lander, where they take cloth waste, fabric waste, and instead of just thinking, oh, let's make it into another item, they completely shred that cloth waste and turn it back into, I will say yarn, but it's not yarn. They respin it so that the cloth waste can be used to make other clothes. The cloth waste can be used as even a resource for artists who like to paint or design. It can be another resource where they are using the fabric scraps to put together an art piece or a collectible, right? So recycling is not just, how do I put it? It's not just collecting bottles alone. It cuts across other sectors, right? And the key thing to remember when you say that somebody is recycling, you need to ask, is it just maybe a pre-step to the recycling, or are they indeed processing waste material into new products? Yeah, that's that. Then the final one is recovery for energy. At the end of the day, there are some items that probably you can't do anything to them at all, because from the structure, from putting it together, they've probably mixed plastic, bottles, metals in so many different ways that you can't separate it anymore, which is why it's important to even design things that it can be designed for disassembly, meaning you can easily remove the parts that you need to remove and use them for something else. But what if we already have those? Is it possible that they can be converted into energy sources? Which is where we now have things like waste to energy incinerators, right? Where the waste is fed into the incinerator and then it is used to produce energy. Now, please take note, I did not say that they are burning the dirty because that's another thing. Burning also affects the environment. But is there an incinerator that converts whatever the output is actually energy or heat or something that is used to fuel or sustain other things? So these are some of the four main hierarchies. Again, there are a lot of things in between them, but these are the four things when it comes to sustainable waste management: reduce, reuse, recycle, and then recovery as an energy source. Okay, so let's go play the game that I want us to play right now. So I have to find a way to switch between this and the YouTube chat box. That was why I waited a bit. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, ma, we can.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let's play a game now. So I will drop the question and then I will run to the chat box to see your responses. So we're going to do CE or not CE. Let's see how well you understand what I'm saying. I didn't give so many examples today, but I'm sure that, you know, we can think through some of the examples. And even if you're wrong, I can always correct. So CE or not CE. So you choose which one is CE, A, B, C. What you can do is you can say A, CE, B, not CE, C, CE, or, you know, with whatever it is, so that it's fast. Don't answer it as A and then later you come back. You can just do A, B, C and put your responses alongside. Number one, a fashion brand that designs clothes from recycled plastic bottles. A fashion brand that designs clothes from recycled plastic bottles. Is it CE? Is it not CE? CE means, is it circular economy? Like, is it circular economy driven? Or is it not circular economy driven? That's A. B, a company that disposes of unsold clothing in landfills to make space for their new collection. A company that disposes unsold clothing in landfills to make space for their new collection. Is it CE or it's not CE? C, a farmer who applies compost made from organic waste instead of synthesized fertilizers. A farmer who applies compost made from organic waste instead of synthesized fertilizers. Is that CE or not CE? Okay, so I'm running to check the responses that are coming in. Okay, so I see writing for impact and influence and income. Wow. A, CE, B, not CE, C, CE. Okay, fantastic. Wellness TV. Okay, okay. Oh, I see your responses coming in. B, not CE. Mr. Balogun. Okay, so I see that we're all following. That is so impressive. So let's go check out the answers. I mean, it was too simple. Let's go check out the answers, but well done, guys. So if you said A, CE, you're absolutely right. A fashion brand who is designing clothes from recycled plastic bottles is actually practicing circular economy. What are they doing? They are taking the recycled bottles and using it as the raw material to make their clothes. So a company that disposes unsold clothing in landfills, of course, not CE. When you're disposing clothes in landfills just to make space for other clothing, it doesn't make sense. Alternatives to this are, you can do a blast sale. You could actually sell it for a less price and give it to those who are willing to do maybe, I won't say thrift, maybe vintage items. There are a lot of things you can do with unsold clothes rather than just throwing it away. That's just the point. Farmer that applies compost from organic waste instead of synthesized fertilizers. That is very circular economy driven. Okay, so this is the second one. A fashion company designs modular office desks that can easily be repaired or upgraded instead of replaced. A fashion company designs modular office desks that can easily be repaired or upgraded instead of being replaced. A beverage company introduces single-use plastic straws for consumers or customers' convenience. Is that CE or not CE? A construction company demolishes an old building and then sends all the debris to a landfill. So what are your answers? Is it CE or not CE? So we're doing number 2 now. 100. Yay, it's the person who got 100. Okay, so let me see if we have responses for number 2. Okay, so I see your responses coming in very fast. Mr. Abdurrahman said CE, not CE, not CE. CE, not CE, not CE. Okay, so I can't keep up with the speed at which the responses are coming in. I'm very sorry. But if you did say, let's check out the right answers. If you did say that A is CE, yes, you are absolutely correct. A furniture company designing modular office desks that can be upgraded or repaired is actually CE. And we have companies like that. So we have someone like Joneswood Creation. They actually make items that can be easily repaired and upgraded. We have companies today. Let me think of another one. EB Furnitures. So yeah, JB Furnitures, not EB Furniture. JB Furnitures, they also make items that can easily be repaired or upgraded instead of just being replaced. A beverage company introducing single-use plastic straw for consumer convenience. That is so not CE. All the bakers in the house, all of you that bake, do food service, this is where you begin to think, how can I be sustainable in my packaging? How can I be sustainable in the items? Even when I need to think about customers' convenience, do I add an educational bit to what I am doing? Because, you know, we talked about it, that one of the principles of circular economy is also customer engagement and awareness. Do you maybe dedicate a Friday to just talk sustainability to your customers, so that over time, because, you know, transition needs to be gradual, it needs to be in stages. If you just suddenly do it, you might lose customers. But is there a way you can take them through it step by step so that they eventually get the sense of why you're even moving to a more sustainable option, and why it's important that they join you on this journey? So for those interested in that, please note that as well. A construction company sending the debris to landfill, that is so not CE. Why? Because you can actually use the residue, the debris, to actually fill. If you need to, you can use it to fill in the new building you are building. You can fill it up with the concrete and the broken pieces. You can separate the iron, the metal ions. You can separate it and use it for something else. You can separate the wood and it can be used for something else. So it being sent off to the landfill is not the best option. Okay, so this is the last one we're going to be doing for today. Everybody who has been getting it so far, well done. You really paid attention. I'm loving that. A company markets a biodegradable plastic product that only breaks down industrial composting facilities. Hold on, let me take this slowly. A company markets a biodegradable plastic product that only breaks down in industrial composting facilities, which are scarce. Let me take that A again. A company is marketing a biodegradable plastic. However, the biodegradable plastic, it only breaks down in industrial composting facility, and these facilities are scarce. Is that CE or not CE? B, a startup builds homes using 3D printed concrete. Okay, from 3D printed concrete using construction waste, but the material is difficult to recycle at the end of life. Is that CE or not CE? Finally, a mobile phone company creates fully modular phones. Replacement parts are expensive and difficult to access. Before you rush through your answers, I think this one forces you to pause and think through. The biodegradable plastic company, is it CE or not CE? The 3D printed houses from construction waste, CE or not CE? And then finally, the mobile phone that is modular, is it CE or not CE? The floor is yours. So everyone who is attempting this. Okay, so we have a lot of people saying all of them are not CE. All of them are not CE, not CE, not CE. Wow. Not CE. Okay, let's go check out the answers. Okay. So if you said not CE, you are completely right. The biodegradable plastic product is very interesting, but the fact that where you can use it is very scarce, it doesn't really make much sense, because at the end of the day, people will still waste that material. So even if you are designing a solution, what I like to say is design a solution that doesn't become a problem. So for those of you who said that, you're good to go. A startup prints homes from 3D printed concrete. A startup builds homes from 3D printed concrete using construction waste, but the material is difficult to recycle at the end of life. We've had questions about this one. Is it really not CE or CE? Not CE or CE. So we like to say it's partial. Why are we saying it's partial? Because the person is using concrete waste, construction waste. However, because it's very difficult to now recycle that same material at the end of its life, it's also a problem, right? Because like I said, don't let this also be a problem to you. So if you said not CE, you are right. If you said partial, you're also right. What if in future there is a something that allows them to break down the waste? We don't know, but yeah. Same thing for this particular company. Modular phones with replacement parts, they are expensive and difficult to access. Remember I told you something about the price range. Possibly this company, it's expensive because people are not really aware that it exists, and because there is not yet a huge demand. So we say partial because indeed having modular phones works well, meaning that if I want to change the camera, I can change the camera easily. And if I want to change the camera, I can change the camera easily. If I want to change the storage space, so even if it's, instead of having an inbuilt storage space that I cannot upgrade, I can always get a replacement to replace that. If I want a brighter screen or a screen that can, do HD things I can play games with and it feels very real, I can change all those parts. Yes, that is sustainable because it allows you to replace parts easily. However, the parts are expensive. Because it's expensive doesn't mean that it is not CE. Because it's difficult to access does mean that, okay, there needs to still be work being done on it. So for this one, it is partial CE. So I'm going to stop here. I have taken a lot of our time. I am apologizing to the organizers. So sorry for the extra time being taken. But then thank you all so much for the session. I'm really, really glad that you have engaged with me and hopefully you have learned a thing or two. Thank you so much. So over to you, my moderator. My apologies again for shooting past time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. I really appreciate it. So we'll just be taking one question because we are behind time. So we'll just be taking one question from the comment section, from the YouTube comment section, Ma.
Oh, yes, please. You can go on with the question.
Okay, so if you have a question for our speaker, can you just drop it in the YouTube comment section so that I can just take it? Okay, okay, Ma, you have a question, one question. He or she is asking, how can we okay, sorry about that. From Chidubem Njoko, the person is asking, how can we make sustainable energy affordable, especially to low-income earners who are used to cheaper conventional source without government support?
Okay. So how can we do that without government support? So like I said, it comes, like development comes in phases, right? I want to use, I'm sure I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to share, so maybe I will not disclose the company. But then there is a company somewhere in Nigeria. What they've done is they are focusing on off-grid energy. Off-grid energy, meaning like a solar powered plant. But now these plants, they want to use it to power all the houses within a certain community in southern Nigeria. What they have done for these people is that they have created a system where instead of the people having to buy the solar and buy the batteries and everything themselves, the people only need to pay for a kind of meter system that allows them to plug into that solar power. So they enjoy energy all through the day. All they need to do is pay a particular amount. So the amount they're probably paying for is that is, say, maybe 15K to have the meter installed, and then they get to use this light as long as possible. Then probably after a year, thereabout, don't quote me, that's why I also didn't mention the name of the company. After a year, thereabout, they will be paying a small token fee of maybe 2,000 to 3,000 naira monthly to get continuous access to that solar power supply. Now, I use that illustration, and I hope the illustration was somewhat clear, to illustrate that a lot of times providing sustainable energy, making it affordable for communities, for low-income earners, is about thinking about maybe a different strategy. So the solution might not necessarily be to make a very cheap product that has one bulb, and then you can't really do anything with the one bulb. It might be to have an infrastructure that can power a whole community, and then they split the cost. Yeah? So it might be to do that. It might be that, yes, over time, because the demand is high, right, you are now able to reduce your production cost and therefore reduce the cost that you now use to sell the product. You don't always need government support. That's another thing. However, every business does need investment at some point, or does need funding. The investment can be your personal investment, or it can be friends and family investing or offering you funding. It doesn't have to always be government support. But there are things that government can do. Say, maybe set up policies in place to help what you are about to do, which is what a lot of businesses are championing for. So to answer your question in summary, number one is to think about an alternative business model. So the alternative business model can be, doing products as a service for low-income earners, even having charger stations where they come and they charge with solar power for a cheaper price or something like that. So you can do that. And then the second thing is, the government support doesn't have to always be finance. It can be, policies that do help make your work easier. Maybe tax exemption for some businesses who are also just starting up, so that you're not paying so much on tax because you are solving a very critical problem. So I think these sort of answer the question that you have, or I hope it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. So we have some questions on the comment section, on the Zoom comment section. So you can just go through the question. Yes, or in the comment section in the Zoom. Thank you very much, Ma.
Thank you, Chineye. So I hope that circular economy will not reduce the originality of the product or service. So no, it doesn't reduce the originality of the product or service. Again, you might need to define what you mean by originality. Yeah, I don't know the meaning of originality in this particular place. So, but I want to assume you mean that, we don't now have fake products that are out instead of original products. It doesn't, right? The thing that I would want to say is, the first thing is you need to pay attention to the producers themselves. If a producer at the very beginning, so we have very big electronic companies, very big tech companies, if what they produce from the very beginning is not durable and it doesn't last long, right? Are you sure that that product is really original? That's a trick question, right? Because most of these products are designed with a temporary lifespan in mind. And, that helps to increase sales because you have to go buy that items. And even sometimes items are discontinued after a couple of years. So you'll find that if you go to the market, there are some phones that you can no longer see in the market. You can't even find their spare part. You can't even find complementary spare part from another phone to use that is an exact fit. So it doesn't reduce the originality. Rather, it forces producers to now be more intentional, to not think that the only way they can make profit is by reducing the quality of products so that people repeat buy, but maybe increasing the quality of products, making it more modular, meaning people can actually replace what they need to replace easily, and then finding other ways to make money from that entire process. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Emmanuel. So we have a question from Chidubim. Producing new plastics have been proven to be cheaper than recycling. Is it better to push off the bans? Okay, is it better to push off the bans on single use of plastics? Manufacturers will prefer to produce rather than recycle plastics. This question is very interesting, but you know, the end goal is, even if you produce, so imagine you produce 1,000,000 bottles, we use it now. What happens at the end of the day is you will have 1,000,000 bottles that are in the environment. Next week, they produce 1,000,000 bottles. We use it now. You have another 1,000,000 bottles that are in the environment. At some point, when you want to take a step outside your house, you'll be stepping on plastic bottle. So that's me exaggerating, but I'm trying to paint a picture of, if we continue just producing single-use plastic bottles without any plan as to how or what happens to it at the end of life. If plastic was biodegradable, meaning if it naturally degrades, meaning if it naturally goes through a process where you no longer see it at the end of the day, that would be easy. But it doesn't do that naturally. Instead, you need to actually go through processes. There are researchers currently, carrying out some research work. Is there, I don't know what it's called. Is there a creature? Is there a chemical solution? Still being careful with that too. Is there something that can make plastic compostable? Remember the example we had given. Is there something like that? But while they are doing that, you can't just keep producing the plastic. So it's compulsory that you make them recycle. You make them use the recycled plastics as a part of their production process. And there are companies that do that now. There is Sonex Packaging of the Moanani Group. They do bottle-to-bottle recycling, and it's food grade. There is Polysmart. They do bottle-to-bottle recycling, and it's food grade. And what are they doing? They are taking bottles that are, wasted in the environment. They are making, of course, in a very sterile environment, they are making sure that they can make other bottles, because at the end of the day, we are constantly using these bottles. The difference is that it's not now producing a fresh bottle. It is using what is already outside to make something else at the end of the day. Next question. How do we produce a product in circular economy, especially for those that are trying to make it favorable and accessible in terms of cost? I think it depends on what you want to produce, right? So I would say, when you want to produce, think about it. What are you producing? I think another thing is, you can have your business two ways. So you can have your business that utilizes things the normal way, and this is just me putting this out there. You could have a business that makes normal products, but what you do is, at the end of life, think about what happens at the end of life. So what I mean is, say for instance, you are a restaurant. Sorry, the easiest example in my head now. You're a restaurant, and people would come eat at your spot and then go home. You could say you want to use paper for takeout. The reason why you are using paper instead of nylon is because paper will naturally biodegrade, right? You could say, okay, instead of using paper, you want people to come with coolers, a specific type of cooler that you have given them, that anytime they come with that cooler, they probably get 10% off their meals. And then when they feel like they don't like the cooler anymore, they can come and replace it for another cooler, and then you take care of whatever happens to the cooler that they have returned to you. Maybe shred it, maybe do something in collaboration with another company that can offtake your waste. So for you to design a product or design something with circular economy in mind, the ways you can do it is endless. It just means stepping outside the box. And I'm so sorry that I failed to mention collaboration during the course of this program. So collaboration is key. You don't necessarily have to do every single thing. However, you can collaborate with those who are handling certain parts in the process. So for instance, there's a coconut company, Coconut Jam Jam. They make coconut, but they have a lot of other partners. Now, from the coconut, they have the shell, which is wasted. They can partner with the company I told you, Mitiment, who makes earrings out of coconut waste. They've taken that part. They have the husk. They partner with those who are making briskets, fire starters, to take off the husk. They partner with probably another chips company that makes dry coconut chips, dehydrated coconut chips, or something very nice that you can eat. The oil from the coconuts, they use it to make scented candles by themselves, or they partner with somebody who uses the oil to make scented candles. So it means for every process in your business, all you need to do is just think, is this particular aspect sustainable? Can I carry this out myself, or do I work with somebody to carry this out? I hope that kind of answers your question. And in terms of the cost, over time, the cost will become affordable, especially if you are doing quality work. There are a lot of people that buy quality in this day and age than quantity, or than because the price is affordable. Or you could also brand what you're doing as premium, and people pay for premium. So different ways, depending on what you think. I think this is the last question. Is banning plastic bags and plates the only solution to plastic waste issue? No, it's not the only solution. What do you think that they can do better? What do I think they can do better? They can do a lot of things better. I think they're indeed doing a lot of things better. I don't know. I don't have at this point, I don't really know what else they can do better. But I think I would say maybe education and advocacy. Some people still don't understand why those things are being banned. I have gone into shops. I know you may go into Boku today, and I think Boku tries to do a very fine job. I'm not advertising them, by the way. Sorry about that. Boku tries to do a very fine job of telling you why they eliminated something. So they eliminated the plastic bag and telling you they're sustainable. They eliminated baggers. Baggers are those people who stand at the other end of the cashier point and they're helping you put your bag in nylon. And they're telling you that helps them to be cost effective. And if you go into their shops, you will often find that things are less in price. That 20 naira, that 15 naira, it actually adds up eventually. What they've done is they educate people about why they are doing something. For me, I think government should begin to educate people more as to why they are doing stuff. Why are you banning single-use plastic? Why is it a problem? And when I say educate, not just educating that is only when you now hear it in newspaper, you now hear that they've banned it, you don't know why. How can you explain it in layman's tongue? How can you let them see the use, like the reasons why? How can you also show them the solution and then give them time to adapt to that solution? So I think those are the things I would say that the government and the key stakeholders in the plastic space can stand to do a bit more of. Do more of the education, and then when you are doing your implementation, roll it out in phases and ensure that there is continuity. I think that's one of the things that Nigeria as a whole, we struggle with, continuity. You start something today, tomorrow, something else will happen, or somebody else will come in that doesn't share the vision, that doesn't know why stuff is happening, and they will remove it. And nobody will talk because they too don't know why. So everything just keeps going sideways. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm done with the questions.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ma. We really appreciate for your time, and your presentation was very, very engaging and it was nice. Thank you very much, Ma. We really appreciate you, Ma. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. Bye.
Okay, so we have our next speaker. Echi. So please join me and welcome our facilitator, Echi. Okay. Chris Echi is a dynamic, result-oriented professional with a strong background in business development, project management, and data analysis. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from the Federal University of Technology, from the University of Nigeria, Sokasari, and an ordinary national diploma in Computer Science from Federal Polytechnic, Oko, Anambra State. Okay, so please join me and welcome our facilitator, Chris Echi. Sir, you're welcome, and you can go on with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone. Good morning. I believe it's still morning. And thank you, Chineye, for having me. And thank you to SDSN for also having me. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Good morning, sir.
All right, thank you so much. And I also want to appreciate the last speaker, Deborah. She made some interesting points, and I believe that a lot of us here, like me, have picked up a few things from what she had to say. So, without so much of an ado, I think we can kick off the presentation for today. So let me just try and do this. Okay. All right, this is good. All right. Once again, thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here. Glad for the opportunity to yap. I call it yapping because I'm a green evangelist. I like talking about the environment, and it's always good to have the opportunity to speak to young people like myself about what we need to do, what we owe the next generation as young people. So today I will be looking at green economy and environment. I will be exploring the sustainable practices that we believe that if we can pull these things off, we'll definitely have a much better future for us as individuals, for our nation, Nigeria, for the world at large, and for the planet that we call home, Earth. So I would like this session to be a bit of a discussion. So I'll be calling some people to like your input. I'll be needing your input at some point. So don't be shy to respond when I call you. All right. So before we start the conversations properly, I would like to give us an idea of why this conversation we're about to have is important. So we're trying to understand the impact of the forest losses and climate change. The world loses 10 million hectares of forest annually. Climate change costs Africa 2 to 4% of its GDP yearly. And the conversation we're going to be having today is connected to SDGs 8, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So I'm seeing Austin on the call. Austin, do you know what SDG 8 is? Or anybody else that can help? I just want to make sure we are all following. Emmanuel is on the call. Okay. I'm seeing Anafesto. Does anybody know what SDG 12, 8, 13, 14, or 15 is all about? No. Okay, so
Okay, sir.
all right, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. This masterclass section is our YouTube channel. So I just dropped the YouTube channel link in the comment section.
Okay, I don't know if it's my network, but your voice is breaking.
Okay, sir. I'm saying that we have this masterclass section live streamed on our YouTube channel. Okay, so most of our participants are streaming via the YouTube.
Okay. I think
And the link is on the comment section.
all right. Let me see if I can join as well there. Okay, what you can do for me is to get me reactions from there, if it's possible, because might not be very easy to move across. All right, is that possible?
Okay, sir.
All right, so we can continue. Please confirm you can still see my screen.
Yes, we can.
All right. So the SDGs that I talked about are SDGs 8, 12, and 14, 13, and 15, which addresses decent work and economic environment. SDG 12 talks about responsible consumption and production, which aims to ensure sustainable consumption and production. SDG 13, always climate action. 14 is water, life below water, and 15 is life on land. So if you look at the SDGs that I just mentioned, you find out that definitely, like, it jumps out to you immediately why or how this conversation is related to them, right? So we'll just continue with the presentation. If you have any questions, you can ask your questions at the end of the presentation. All right. So to the next slide. So over 1 billion people rely on nature for their livelihood. And the 1 billion that I mentioned is an underestimation. Like, I don't want to exaggerate, right? So a green economy supports sustainable development and reduces environmental risk. And UNEP defines green economy as an economy that is low carbon, resource efficient, and socially inclusive. The core principles include resource efficiency, low carbon growth, and social inclusivity. All right. So while it's important to understand what green economy is and how it applies to the conversation we're having today, I first of all want us to understand what an economy is. So an economy is an organized system by which a country or region produces, distributes, and consumes goods and services. It involves individual businesses and governments, how they interact to fulfill needs by making, buying, and selling things. So this is what an economy is. Now, the green economy is a version of an economy, is a type of economy where all these things that we mentioned, the production, the consumption, the distribution, and the resource management, is being done with sustainability as a focal point. All right. So when decisions are being made in production, when decisions are being made in consumption, when these decisions are being made in distribution from source to the market, or from warehouses to the retail stores, transportation, and all that, sustainability is at the forefront of the mindset of the individuals making this decision. And as well, resources. We have a situation where we are a country blessed with a lot of resources, and we tend to want to use them and use them and use them and use them and believe that it will never run out. But nothing lasts forever, right? So we need to be responsible. We need to think outside the box and make sure that we are not taking more than we should from the environment. So moving forward, I'd like to do a short comparison between the traditional economy and the green economy. So for the traditional economy, the focus is on profit alone. So everybody that is doing business that has no intention of being sustainable or bringing sustainability into their focus, they only think about profit. And what happens is that when profit is the main focus, resource exploitation is not far away. So you want to make as much money as possible in the now and here. So you're not thinking about the future, you're not thinking about the next person, you're not thinking about the environment, you're not thinking about sometimes even about the people you work with. You're just thinking about, how am I going to make as much money as possible. All right, that is the traditional economy. So the other thing that comes into play is high pollution. So because you're not concerned with any other thing apart from making as much money as possible, you tend not to take care of your waste properly. So pollution is definitely going to be the next thing that comes in. I mean, if you're on the call and you're from any of the Niger Delta states, you must have seen firsthand what resource exploitation and focus on profit and high pollution can do to the environment. I mean, the Ogoni cleanup has been going on for God knows how long, and a lot of work still needs to be done, and a lot of damage is still going on. That's just the funny part of it. We're trying to make a difference. We're trying to now come back and say, okay, we've made these mistakes, we want to make corrections, and we've declared for a cleanup to happen. But the deterioration of the environment is still going on, even as we speak right now, in all parts of the world, not just Nigeria. So these are the perks of the traditional economy. But for the green economy, it is focused on profit, people, and planet. There is resource efficiency, and clean innovation is the goal. So for a green economy, when you are trying to be from where I come from, maybe plug in Nigeria, there's what we call entrepreneur. That's the word we use. So an entrepreneur is not a regular entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur in the green economy. So the mindset of an entrepreneur is different from the mindset of an entrepreneur, in the sense that even when you're betting that idea, that technology, that new thing that you're trying to bring out, that new solution that you're trying to bring out, sustainability is at the forefront of your mindset. So you're not just trying to make a difference, you're trying to make a difference in every way possible, including in the environment, including in the lives of people around you. So you don't go out trying to do good and end up hurting a lot of people because you did not think about them when you're making your plans. So the green economy helps us to achieve that. So moving forward, today's conversation has the environment at its core. So the economy depends on healthy ecosystems. Biodiversity equals foundation of livelihood. Climate stability drives sustainable growth. So what I'm trying to bring our mind to here is, you cannot really talk about a thriving economy without mentioning the environment. It is something you cannot really do, because if you have plans of building a Fortune 500 company and you have all the ideas, you have all the tools to do it, but there is war going on in Nigeria, I'm not very sure that that environment will allow you to be able to maximize that potential, that idea that you have, or innovate in a way that you should. That's on a large scale now, bringing it down to a level that we could understand. Imagine you as a young person, you're trying to have an environment where you can sit down, think, and come up with solutions to everyday issues. We're not talking about big things here. We're talking about, okay, I have 5 classes today. How do I manage my time? How do I do this? When do I do this? At what point should I do this? You know, those kind of arrangement that you make before your week starts or before your day starts. And then there is this, your neighbor that is so in love with Tiger generator and is so loud and you can't even hear yourself think. That is your environment being not supporting you in that moment. And that is something that will translate in your ability or not to be able to perfect your plans and provide solutions the way you possibly should have. All right. So the environment is very important and is core in the conversations for a very robust and green economy. So for a fact, shifting towards a green economy is essential for sustainability long-term growth in our communities. I don't think anybody on this call would disagree with that fact. It is something that needs to be done, and it needs to be done as soon as possible. So how do we do this? Where do we start? Like, what are the things that can be done and it will translate to a green economy? So one of the things that is being done is the use of renewable energy. I think Deborah spoke about this when I joined. I heard her speak so much of some things about the renewable energy sector and how people are innovating in this space. This is a very big aspect of the green economy, in the sense that we're always talking about fossil fuels and burning them and how it affects the environment, the greenhouse gases, the climate change, and all those things, and how it's related to energy production. So renewable energy is an aspect or a sector that is ripe, that is ready to explode, not just in Nigeria, worldwide. I mean, the rate of adoption now is quite high, and a lot of people are going into it with new innovations, new technology, and statistics will tell you that the prices of renewable energy sources are dropping with time. All right, so it's not even that it's that expensive and unaffordable as it was like 5-10 years ago. I mean, 10 years ago, you probably didn't know anybody that had a house fully powered with solar energy. But these days, you just get an inverter, a few batteries, and some panels, and you're ready to go. So this is a space that is ripe for investment, for innovation, for us to be able to take advantage of the good things that could come out from practicing the green economy. Sustainable agriculture also is another aspect that, especially in Nigeria, where food production and the need for what would I call it now? More people to go into farming is being pushed both by government, by NGOs, for us to be able to produce enough food to feed the 200 million plus Nigerians that we have. Based on the fact that the system, the economy currently is wobbling, a lot of emphasis is being made on our ability to go back to the farm and diversify the economy. So we'll talk about some examples and how we can achieve this in our local environment as we progress. Eco-friendly transportation, promoting bicycles and public transit usage decreases carbon footprint. I mean, this is bread and butter for anybody that has ever been in any conversation about sustainability. Transportation is one of the main source of release of these gases that causes climate change into the environment. And if there is any chance that we can cut down on the need to transport, the need for transportation, then we should be able to do that. I mean, I know a lot of you will having questions like, how do you possibly do it? Are you going to use bicycle to travel from Lagos to Abuja or stuff like that? Yes, there are places or instances where it is almost unavoidable. And I'm always telling people that being sustainable in your action and thoughts is not being in a situation where you always do things sustainably. There are instances where, if we're being realistic, you cannot afford to not use plastic, like we discussed with Deborah. There are some instances where you absolutely need to rush somebody to hospital and you need to drive a car, right? But thinking sustainability, acting sustainability entails that if there is a chance that you can do this thing differently, with the environment at the forefront of your mind, then by all means, you should be doing that. That is the whole idea of sustainability. If you don't have to go to that party and drive 40 hours, you don't have to do that. If you have to go to the party and you have the option of taking a taxi with other people, carpooling, you should do that. That is sustainability. Sustainability is not you should never drive a car, you should never enter an aeroplane, you should never use plastic. No. But if there is an alternative, there is a chance that you can use a more sustainable means and still achieve similar or same exact results, then definitely you should be taking that route. All right. So looking at the opportunities that we have, that the green economy gives us. So ILO says that by 2030 we should have over 24 million new green jobs. So where are these jobs coming from? We're talking about renewable energy, we're talking about sustainable transport systems. People are innovating in all these spaces, sustainable agriculture. People are innovating, companies are being created that focus solely on practicing natural agriculture. Natural agriculture in the sense that you practice agriculture without the need for artificial pesticides, without the need for artificial fertilizers. You practice crop rotation and all the necessary things that gives the earth the time it needs to heal itself naturally and give the best that it should to us, the inhabitants of the planet. So there is a 60% increase in renewable energy jobs. Definitely, I think Nigeria is not left behind in this sense, because you go out every day, you see a lot of solar companies, inverter selling companies. These are jobs. These are companies that definitely employ people to be able to make sales, to be able to engineers for the different things they need them for. So I'm very sure that a lot of jobs will come in when we start thinking in this direction, and there's still untapped potential here, especially in Nigeria, which brings me to the next opportunity, which is about 20 billion potential market for sustainable products. There are about 20 billion people that are ready, that will be willing to pay for these products if and when they are available. Now, the question is, are you ready? Do you think you have what it takes to be one of those people that will bring about the innovation, that will bring in these businesses, that bring in this money that is almost always there for the taking? It's just for you to be able to make a difference, think outside the box, do something that people need, and definitely they will part with their money to be able to get it from you. So talking about the Nigerian space now, there are a lot of work that has been done. Definitely, we are here today because the organizers of this project have taken it upon themselves to bring together youths for them to be able to learn and always give them the chance to become themselves eco champions, which means they can now begin to reach out to other people. So we're talking about community engagement. So this is one of the things that our the organizers of this event have done for you being here, for me being here, talking to you today. We are engaging in conversations that will spoil your mind, that will open your mind to possibilities that you probably didn't know was there, that will open your mind to be able to tell people. I think going back again to what Deborah was talking about, because I listened when I joined, she mentioned the fact that the government needs to be able to tell people why they are doing the stuff they are doing. So bringing it back to the conversation we're having right here, right now, you should be able to, after this project, go out and tell people why the government banned plastic, for example. why the government says, okay, styrofoams, we're not going to allow that in Lagos State, why certain decisions are being made, and why it is important that these decisions are made, and how it will benefit us as individuals in the long term. Because it is very difficult to convince people. It is very difficult to change cultures. So especially in Africa, and then especially in Nigeria, it is a very difficult thing to do. So it calls for a lot of community engagement, actions like tree planting, awareness campaigns that you could just organize. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be so big. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have 5 billion people in attendance for you to be able to do that. They just 10 people that you get together and be like, okay, look, I saw you throw trash on the floor. Do you know what the implication of that bottle that you just dropped on the floor is? Just that could change the mindset of people. And the most important thing when it comes to the fight for sustainability is the change in the mindset. I strongly believe that, because once there is that change, even that person automatically becomes an evangelist also. He'll be the next person to tell the other person, okay, this thing you're doing is not, it's not good. This is why. And you understand? So community engagement is very, very important. I think I'll say again, the mention of some companies that are doing very well in the renewable energy space, especially solar renewable energy. There are a lot of companies. I wouldn't want to mention names for some reasons. A lot of companies that are being innovative to the point where if you have a solar grid for your house, right, and you generate enough energy to supply your house, and you have more left, like you generate more than enough for your household, you could register with these companies, and what they do is they can extend your grid to your neighbors, and your neighbors get to pay you. Now, sometimes you don't even need a company to do this. You as an individual, you can do it. If you have enough, you generate enough electricity via your renewable energy source, whether it's solar, you can sell it to your neighbors, connect them to your grid, and collect money from them. By doing so, you are making sure that your neighbor doesn't have to, that used to on gen where you're trying to think and the gen is distracting you, don't have to on their gen again. So you are able to have a more comfortable environment where you can sit down, take charge, and innovate for other things that you need to do. All right. So waste management is another success story when it comes to the green economy in Nigeria. A lot of people are going into converting waste to valuable resource. A lot of people are going into recycling, upcycling. A lot of people are doing wonderful things like building sitting slabs with plastic bottles, building houses with plastic, a lot of things. People are making earrings from coconut shells and all that. So it's just for you to go out there and look at how people are being innovative, how people are making efforts to change the narrative, change the mindset that once you are done with something, you just throw it away. You go to the boutique today, you buy 5 jeans. The next 1 month, you're buying 5 again. Like, when will it end? So waste management is another aspect of this fight for sustainability in our economy that has been successful to a larger extent in the Nigerian space. Please confirm you can still hear me and you're following.
Yes, sir, we can still hear you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the barriers to a green economy. I can't sit down here and tell you that once you want to start something in the green economy space, you're just going to get flying and it's all plain sailing. It's not. We're in Nigeria, we're in Africa, and getting your hands on the things that enables you to do enough to make a difference it's not very easy. Let's just be honest with ourselves. It's not very easy. There are a lot of barriers. And one of the barriers, some of the barriers I've listed here, some of them I have not. There are a lot of them. Do you understand? And some are there, but you might not even see them until you step into the space. Until you step into the space and you find out that, oh wow, this is I can't deal with this. And then it tends to deter you. But the truth is, you need to find a way. Once you're there and you've made up your mind to be that difference maker, made up your mind to make a difference in your society, for yourself and your family, you have to do your best. All right. So some of the barriers include policy and governance gap. One of the questions that was asked to Deborah was, somebody asked, is there something the government can do better apart from banning plastic? And for me, there are a lot of things that the government can do better. Honestly, there are a lot of things that the government can do better. There is a lot of things they can do better, in the sense that the policies they bring out have a way of sending messages to the people. For example, when Lagos State banned styrofoams, everybody that was in Lagos, even if you're working in the styrofoam industry or you use it, once that policy has been passed, you know that it is over. Like, there is nothing you're going to be doing with styrofoams again in Lagos State. All right, at least legally you can't. So that gives people that want to go into sustainable packaging a lift. So if you started a business, let's say 5-10 years ago in Lagos State, and you're trying to practice green economy, so you said you're developing packaging materials, and you say, okay, I'm going to be doing strictly sustainable packaging materials. You find out that the fact that styrofoams is being sold very cheap and almost always available is a big problem for you. It means the market you are able to target is quite reduced, and the people that are able to patronize you are people that are doing it just because they know what it means, just because they understand the need for us to be sustainable. So the competitive landscape for you, it's not good enough, all right? But once the government steps in and makes these policies, it makes your life a lot easier. So cell phones are no longer a competition for you now. People need to turn to sustainable packaging, and you are there. You've been doing the business for the past 10 years. So you are in a very strong position now to take the market, expand your scope, and develop a strong economic system around that niche. So government policies are a big barrier when it comes to the green economy. So limited access to finance. Limited access to finance is self-explanatory, and anybody that have ever tried to do anything worthwhile in Nigeria, and you're not from, maybe your dad is not the Dangotes of this world, or you don't have access to the funds to be able to carry those things out, have been in that situation where you almost want to give up on your dream because you can't afford it. It's the reality of most young people in Nigeria. So limited access to financing is a big problem. Low awareness and education, definitely that is a big issue too, because when people don't understand, like I used the sustainable packaging company idea before. Imagine walking up to a woman that sells puff puff in the market, and then you're telling her that instead of buying nylon to use and sell the puff puff, that she should buy your sustainable package of leather, paper to do the packaging. And then it doesn't make sense to her. Like, why would I leave nylon that I have in abundance? I probably bought 1,000 of them the other day from Mama Femi, and then you're asking me to leave them and start using paper. Like, who does that? So that awareness and education is still low. Yes, we're doing a lot of work. Yes, organizations like our conveners today are doing a lot of work in that space, but a lot more needs to be done also. And that is why we're having this conversation today, so that when you go out from these events, at the end of the event, you go out into the society, you can start making a difference in your space. You can start talking to people, you can start creating this awareness, you can start the education that needs to get to them, so that when we have enough voices, then we can start shouting at the top of our voice and people will start listening to us. So there's still low awareness and education, and it's still a barrier to the green economy. So resistance from traditional industries, this is like one of the biggest ones, actually. Africans, we are not used to change. We don't like change. We like our things done a certain way, and we don't want anything to come between us and that thing we're doing. All right. So it is very difficult to convince a Nigerian to change from what they know works to something else, especially when it works for them. All right. So it is one of the barriers. So if you want to do something different, it's almost always seen as a problem, because they are not used to seeing that kind of thing being done. So, but I would say, don't let that deter you. Change is constant, and change always comes at the end of the day. That's just the truth. It might take time. People might push you around, and just keep making your point, keep progressing at the pace you're going, and definitely you'll be able to break through the barrier of resistance from traditional industries. Okay. So we have a lot of young people on the call, and I want to let you know right now, if you didn't know before now, that you have a role to play, and you need to understand where you can play, what role you can play, where you can come in, what difference can you make in this drive for a sustainable economy, which we call the green economy. So one of the roles that I've pointed out is the innovation of solutions. So youth-led initiatives drive innovation solutions to environmental challenges we face today. That is something that is being done. Like, I am so grateful for the Nigerian youths that have decided not to sit on their hands, but have decided to step up and learn and stand up to make a difference. I mean, most of the organizers of this event, if not all of them, are young people, very, very young people, very, very young people. And they've thought about this, to put this program together, to give people an opportunity to learn. That is a very big thing. It might not, you sit down and you think about it and you feel like it's it's just organization of an event, but it's not. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of work, and I really, really appreciate them for putting this together, honestly. So a lot of innovation needs to go into providing solutions to environmental challenges, and I believe that after this conversation, you will be able to key into that role. So another role that you can play as a young person is to practice sustainable living. A sustainable lifestyle is important. You cannot say you are practicing sustainability and your lifestyle says otherwise. And the truth is, people learn a lot from what you do than what you say. That's just the truth. So you need to cultivate this lifestyle. Like I mentioned before, you've been in this project, you've learned all these things, and then tomorrow morning you go out, you buy 10 pairs of trousers, and then next month you're buying 10 pairs of trousers again. and then suddenly the last 10 pairs that you just bought, you dispose them. It doesn't make any sense. The lifestyle doesn't speak to what you're preaching, and it's important that both of them align, because when you go out as eco champions, you become examples to other young people, and they look at you, they want to learn from you. It gets to a point where you develop this lifestyle to the point where, for example, if you're the type of person that you don't throw trash anyhow, you make sure that your trash is disposed properly. If you become vocal about it and it becomes your niche, that's the role you want to play, right? What happens is that over time, you realize that your mates, your friends, people around you, your family members, they don't tend to do those things when you're around. That's the first step. The first step is maybe somebody throws something on the floor. You hear, maybe you're in the parlor and it happens in the kitchen, and then you hear somebody say, hey, you don't throw that thing there now. You've thrown that thing on the floor now. Make so person no catch you, make Femi no catch you, make Ebuka no catch you. I don't know if you've been in those situations. So they become conscious of what they do around you. And that is the highest compliment anybody can give you as a young person trying to practice the sustainable lifestyle. So when that happens, it rubs off on them and they learn it too. That's the beautiful part of it. They learn it to the point where even when you're no longer around, they manage their waste properly. They now tell other people also to manage their waste properly. So that is a role that you can play. This particular role that I described doesn't take anything from you. You don't need a megaphone. You don't need to write a book. You don't need to be a publisher. You just need to live a sustainable life and be vocal about it. And you see people around you will start changing. So the other one is to lead awareness campaigns. By empowering youth, we can create passionate advocates for sustainability. I mean, that's why we're here, are we not? The reason we're here today is for us to have this conversation so that you have the right information, you understand what is at stake, and you're able to go out there and preach it and tell people, not just telling them the risk, tell them why. To make them understand the whys of sustainability, the reason why they should reuse, the reason why they should reject, the reason why they should reduce. You give them all this information, and that is you leading awareness. Awareness campaigns doesn't have to be like the picture I have here, people with placards and a microphone and whatever. You can do it in your classroom, in your workplace. Just try to always make people understand, not just to stop doing stuff, but understand why they should not be doing those things. And people tend to take it better when they understand the why than when you come in and say stop. So that is one of the goals of the organizers of this event. And I think that's something as powerful as anything you're going to take away from this conversation today. So what are the next steps? So for me, we must unite to protect our planet's future. The next steps include empowerment, collaboration, and innovation. So for empowerment, we have to empower the youth with environmental education, foster a sense of responsibility and action. And that is the step that we've taken today. That is the step that we're taking right now. We're giving you this information, we're giving you this data, we're giving you this exposure for you to be able to go out there and be bold when you are giving out this green evangelism. All right. So the other step is collaboration. Collaboration, I think, is one of the last things that Deborah mentioned. It brings together diverse ideas to create sustainable solutions that put environment at the forefront of its decision making. And this here, the collaboration here, how I put it, is basically the definition of green economy. How you are into transportation, you run a transportation business, you imbibe sustainability in it, you deliver goods to somebody that sells, the person imbibes sustainability in it by packaging the goods in a sustainable package, sells it to somebody that has sustainability imbibed in him. The person uses the product and manages their waste properly. That is the green economy that we're talking about. It doesn't just stop and start with one person. It is a process, it's a cycle, like I mentioned: production, consumption, transportation. This whole ecosystem has to fit into the sustainability scale for us to say we have a sustainable green economy. So collaboration is important. The next one is innovation. It's one of my favorites because innovation basically means being a magician. That's how I define it, being a magician, because when you innovate, you are creating something 90% of the time out of nothing. So it is a blank check. It is never a red ocean. For some of us that if you have any background in economics, you understand what red ocean, blue ocean means. So red ocean is like a niche that is saturated. There are a lot of ideas already going on there. So for example, when you go into which niche will I use now for Nigeria, speaking in the broader sense, okay, let me say POS business. POS business in Nigeria is a red ocean, is saturated. A lot of people are doing POS. Like, you can't walk to poles without seeing a POS agent, right? So, but when innovation comes in, it takes you away from the red ocean to a blue ocean. The blue ocean is an environment that is not overly crowded. All right. So when you innovate, you think outside the box. The box is the red ocean. You think outside it. You bring solutions that either have never been in existence or is better than what is currently happening in the environment. So innovation of green solutions is vital for overcoming environmental and other challenges we face as a nation. We can save our environment and make money while at it. Definitely, we can do both. That is what the green economy is all about. Your ability to think. While you're thinking about the innovation you are going to bring, the environment, sustainability is at the forefront of your mind. So you're not just making decisions based on profit, like you mentioned at the beginning. You're making decisions based on inclusivity, based on diversity, based on the environment, based on the fact that you want everybody to be carried along in the process, and the environment will not suffer at the end of the day for what you've done. So innovation is very, very, very important in our conversation. So finally, I want to say I really, really appreciate the chance to speak. I think I've taken time. I don't know how much time I'm all supposed to use again, but the idea is for me to be able to pass this message, and I think I have been able to do that. So thank you for listening to me. I really do appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate. So the next thing is the question and answer. So please, if you have any question for our speaker, just drop it on the comment section.
Question time. You don't have question for me. I can ask somebody question, right?
Yes, sir, but I think there'll be questions, sir.
All right. I'll be expecting them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think I see some questions in the chat. Bikisu says, so is there a difference between green economy and circular economy? Yes, because there is a difference. So the difference is basically in implementation. All right. So for the green economy, it includes investing in renewable energy and all those other things that we talked about. But the circular economy model is specific on the reduction or near elimination of waste in the production cycle, in the economic cycle. So for the green economy, when you're thinking green economy, it is more, the scope is a lot larger, right? You have, you're talking about the process, all the process that are in, that you have to go through to be able to bring together what you can call an economy. So from production to transportation, like we mentioned, to resource management, all these things are included in the green economy. But for the circular economy focuses on the process of production and consumption and how waste is being managed within these two spectrums. So, for example, if you build a business through green economy, circular economy becomes part of your thought process. So circular economy is more specific about near waste elimination, but green economy is more encompassing, has to do with a lot more other aspects, like I mentioned before, resource conservation, resource management, and what have you, like we just mentioned. So they are very closely related, but green economy is more encompassing than the circular economy. I don't know if I have answered you well, Bikisu. Okay, Remy. My question, how do we take chances of renewable energy, especially because it's expensive in Nigeria? How should we leverage it? All right, so for renewable energy, yes, it is expensive, but the truth is, it is not as expensive as it was 10 years ago. And what that tells you is that it will keep being cheaper as we move forward. As it becomes more readily available, it will become more cheaper. Now, for now, collaboration is important. Innovation is important. Like I mentioned, if you have maybe you don't have the money to set up a solar grid for your house, but then you have a very rich neighbor that has 10 solar panels powering his 2-bedroom flat apartment. You definitely know that this person is generating more than he or she can consume. So you being an innovative person, you can approach this person and be like, okay, look, I can pay you 2,000 a week, 1,000 a week, whatever you feel is fair enough and you can afford, for you to be able to give me light from your grid. And everybody, no matter how rich they are, they want to make as much money as possible. So the person will be happy to link you up with the grid and be collecting the money. So innovation comes in, collaboration comes into play. That is how we're going to be able to leverage it. So if we are about 5 young men and we have a barber shop, and all the barber shops are maybe in a plaza, we can decide to get solar panels, set it up. If I want to do it alone, it might be very expensive for me and I can't afford it. But by the time the 4 of us pull together the funds we're supposed to use to buy the generators and maybe the fuel we're going to be buying every day, with the price of fuel at the moment, you find out that the 5 of us can easily afford the solar that we need, and we take advantage of that. So it takes innovation and thinking sustainably. So the main thing you need to know is you need to make sure that at every point in your decision making, sustainability is the main focus. Once that happens, it means that when you're going to get your charger, your clipper, as somebody that is thinking sustainably, you're going to get a clipper that is rechargeable. All right. So you don't need to be on generator 24 hours a day. You can, if you don't have money for the solar panels, you can get generator, but when the generator is on, you charge your clipper and then you put it off. That is thinking sustainably. So I think I've been able to answer you, Remy. Abdul, what are the effective ways to promote green energy in our respective communities? Thank you very much, Abdul. One of the most effective ways to promote anything is not just green energy now, anything at all, is to talk about it. Just talk, just yap about it, just keep shouting about it, keep telling people about it, even when they feel like they don't want to hear you, keep saying it. It has a way of making it commonplace, making it normal for them. So like I said before, 10, 15 years ago, you rarely know anybody that has a solar. Like there are just few people that are able to afford it and actually have it. You get, but today it is almost everywhere. If you leave your house now and you live in maybe the Lagos of this world, the Abujas, Port Harcourts, it is difficult for you to drive 10 kilometers and not see a billboard about solar. It is very, very difficult. So the best way to go about it is to keep talking about it. That's the simplest way. That doesn't cost you so much. You can talk, you can tell people about it, you can post about it on your socials, on your spaces, you create contents around it if that's the niche you want to focus on. So, but make sure that you are talking about it. You're talking about it, the advantages, like I mentioned before. Make sure that when you tell them the things they should do, you tell them why they should do it. So when you tell them about green energy, you tell them why it is better, why they should prefer that over a generator set. I think I've answered your question. Hickman said, a friend of mine joined Plugin Nigerian Uni running. Are there booths in other schools too? Of course, Plugin Nigeria has is present in over 25 universities. So if you can send me a message via my email that is still on display, I can connect you with the right people for your location. I think that's all the questions. Do we have more questions? If that's all, I think it's back to you, Chinaye.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for taking your time to answer all the questions and for the presentation. We really appreciate, sir. Thank you for the time you
Okay,
took
I
out to
appreciate it too.
prepare and deliver a wonderful presentation. Thank you. We really appreciate, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much to you, the organizers. Like I said before, thank you to the listeners for giving me your ears. I really do appreciate, and I wish that the project continues to be a success because I know that people are going to learn a lot from this, and they are going to go out and become SDG advocates like they should be. I really do appreciate. Thank you very much, and have a lovely time.
Thank you, sir.
I can take my leave now, right?
Yes, sir, you can.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so the next we have is our announcement. So join me to welcome Mr. Augustine as he gives the announcement. Mr. Augustine, you can go on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please, can you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you
I
very
can
much.
hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. And as you all know, we have come to the end. We have come to the end of our week 3 masterclass session, and we take our time to listen to the following announcements, please. I'm coming. Give me a minute to share my slide. Yeah, confirm if you can see my screen.
No, sir.
I think it must be the network. I'm coming.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
Okay, so this is a week 3 masterclass training, and we have already rounded up with the lectures. And we should have in mind that this training is to empower change makers for positive impact within our environment, our community, and the country and the world at large. So we should take a moment to reflect and ask ourselves these questions. What actions are helping us to grow? What needs to change? Remember that every small adjustment that we do moves us closer to a positive impact. Here are the following announcements. Attendance is mandatory, and links will be shared immediately towards the end of this. As we are coming to the end, attendance will be shared. But we should all remember that we should all know that everybody is expected to join all masterclass sessions, and the attendance link will last for about 24 hours. And from next masterclass session, the attendance link will be sent to our emails for us to access and fill. So we should note that it's very, very important. And also, we are also encouraged to participate actively and engage during the masterclass sessions. Then also, try and stay updated. Advocates are expected to check their WhatsApp group regularly for instructions and announcements. Also, there is a group chat rule that we have been announcing for some weeks now, that an advocate trainee is expected to join only one WhatsApp group. If you join more than one, you will be removed permanently. So please don't violate the rule. Make sure you join only one WhatsApp group, and if you join more than 2 WhatsApp SDG, if you join more than 2 WhatsApp group for this cohort, please, you try to exit from one so that you remain in one. And you should also know that the project team is tracking all participation. So your full commitment is expected. And also, you are also required to make a post, of what you have learned from the class today. You are expected to make a post about it on your different social media handles, and make sure you hashtag SDG Advocate Programme Cohort 7. Make sure you put that hashtag. And Also, there have been questions pouring in for some days now concerning the SDG Academy, because you were told that you are supposed to at least study 2 courses from the SDG Academy. Yes, it's very, very important. The link has been shared in your emails. Try and open the links and see the 2 courses, any of the 2 or more courses that you can register for. Now, note, advocates are not to pay for certificates. Yes, you are not to pay for certificates. So go for the free courses. But you can apply, if at all you want the certificates, you can apply for financial aid application. There's a section there for financial aid application. That if you apply there, that will help to waiver. You'll be given a waiver so that you can be able to study the subscribed courses so that you can have your certificate. So take note, and here is the motivation for today. The future belongs to those who believe in the power of their dreams and act on them today. As you can see, the QR code, this is the QR code for the attendance. Those of you that are using your system, you can scan it, and so that you can have access to your attendance form and you begin to fill. Remember that for you to succeed in this training program, there are certain things you should know. That consistency is very, very important. Show up for every session. Make sure you engage fully, share ideas, ask questions, and learn actively. Also, learn to collaborate, support fellow advocates, and grow together. Make sure all what you learn, you apply it within your environment. Take the lessons beyond the class. You are not only trained for the purpose of theory, but you are expected to practicalize it. Remember, SDGs begin with you. Thank you. Wish you a happy weekend. And again, please scan to fill your attendance. And also, the link to these attendance will also be shared on WhatsApp group, YouTube, and other channels. Thank you very much. Over to you, Chine.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Augustine, for the announcement. Okay, so we've come to the end of this masterclass section. Thank you to everyone that participated. Thank you to the SDG Advocate Project team. Thank you to our speakers and our advocates. See you next time. Next week, Friday, by the same time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
We can be.
We must be the first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
Most determined
to fight injustice
and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done.
The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone, everywhere.
with no one left behind.
We will live in a world
where nobody
anywhere
Lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
Wakes in the morning.
Asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world where no child has to die.
Diseases we know how to cure. And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
goes to school.
and education gives us the knowledge
And skills
For a fulfilling life.
We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities to thrive
And be powerful.
and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is head down.
We will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets
at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where
there's sustainable energy for everyone.
heat
light
and power for the whole planet.
without destroying the planet.
We'll live in a world where economies prosper.
And new wealth
leads to decent jobs
for everyone.
and we will live in a world where our industry,
our infrastructure, and our
best innovations
are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
we will live in a world
Where prejudices and extremes of inequality
Are defeated.
inside our countries
And between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
and support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
What we consume. Planet where we put back what we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of
climate change,
where we restore
and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
restore and protect
Life on land,
The forests.
animals,
the earth itself.
with peace between and inside countries.
Where all governments are open.
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
Where all countries and we their people
Work together.
partnerships of all kinds
To make these goals a reality.
These are the United Nations global goals
For sustainable development.
let's get to work. Let's make it